Welcome to Hong Kong Brief. The content of the briefing includes AIA's profit jumps 15% on strong policy sales to mainland visitors in Hong Kong. Hong Kong stocks weaken amid earnings caution, property sector eyes support. Asia stocks steady, Nikkei bruised by BOJ pivot bets. Nissan, Honda weighing EV partnership in Japan, local media say. Hong Kong take-private deals soar as cheap valuations tempt investors. AIA's profit jumps 15% on strong policy sales to mainland visitors in Hong Kong. South China Morning Post. AIA Group, Asia's largest insurer, reported a 15% increase in net profit last year, benefiting from demand for insurance products from mainland Chinese visitors to Hong Kong. The return of inbound travel to Hong Kong in 2023 after 3 years of closed borders due to the pandemic led to a surge in policy sales to mainland visitors, resulting in an 82% increase in the value of new business in Hong Kong. Mainland Chinese tourists spent 59 billion Hong Kong dollars, $7.6 billion, on insurance policies in Hong Kong last year, accounting for 32.6% of all sales. Hong Kong stocks weaken amid earnings caution, property sector eyes support. South China Morning Post. Hong Kong stocks retreated slightly as investors turned cautious ahead of earnings announcements by more than 20 companies in the Hang Seng Index. However, the benchmark index remains close to a 3-month high thanks to comments by Premier Li that China's push for technological innovation will drive economic recovery. The Hang Seng Tech Index dropped, while the Shanghai Composite Index added. Gold producer Zijin Mining Group surged, and Baidu, which operates an AI-powered chatbot, also saw gains after Premier Li emphasized the importance of tech innovation during his visit to the company. Chinese property developers' shares rebounded. Meanwhile, AIA Group reported full-year profit in line with analysts' estimates, causing its stock to slip. Asia stocks steady, Nikkei bruised by BOJ pivot bets. Yahoo! Asian markets remained. Meanwhile, the dollar was broadly weaker as traders focused on the prospect of lower interest rates in the US by the end of the year. Nissan, Honda weighing EV partnership in Japan, local media say. Bloomberg. Nissan is reportedly in talks with Honda to form a partnership for the development of electric vehicles, EVs. The move comes as Japanese automakers, including Nissan and Honda, have fallen behind Chinese competitors in the EV market. Both companies are also considering cutting production capacity in China due to declining sales. While Nissan declined to comment on the reports, a spokesperson for Honda said the company didn't announce the news and is unable to comment. Bloomberg Intelligence senior auto analyst Tatsuo Yoshida said that Nissan has likely been pushing for the deal, while Honda may be willing to take advantage of a good opportunity. HK weighs scaling back plan to open stock market in typhoons. Bloomberg. Hong Kong is considering revising its plans to keep trading open during severe weather conditions. One option being discussed is to close the markets during typhoon signals 9 or 10, the highest levels of typhoon alerts. This would be a step back from the city's goal of keeping markets open during extreme weather. The proposal is aimed at helping smaller firms that struggle to continue operations during severe weather. Concerns have been raised that this could undermine the purpose of keeping markets open and prevent global markets from relying on Hong Kong. Hong Kong must spend strategically on healthcare. Here's how. SCMP opinion. Hong Kong's healthcare system must focus on enhancing the efficiency of existing services and plans rather than relying on extensive measures given the government's budget deficit, according to Dickie Chow, head of healthcare and social innovation at our Hong Kong Foundation, and Dorothy Young, an assistant researcher at the foundation. Strategic purchasing, which considers the capacity of both the public and private sectors to allocate resources more effectively, can help ensure the sustainability of healthcare services. The system should also focus on prevention and early intervention at the primary level to reduce demand for healthcare and save costs in managing chronic diseases. Hong Kong cycling star CC Lee relishing pressure of Nations Cup, making Olympics. South China Morning Post. Cyclist Li Ziwing is hoping to qualify for the Paris Olympics in the Omnium and Madison events. Li admitted she has struggled with the pressure in the past, but has worked with her coach to address this. She is aiming for top 10 finishes at the UCI Track Nations Cup in Hong Kong, where she will be competing in the Madison and Omnium events. China banks dollar bonds signal fears of default down the road. Bloomberg. Chinese property developer China Bank is battling to avoid its first-ever default, with a series of bonds maturing this year. While short-dated notes are trading near par, long-dated dollar bonds have fallen to as low as 40 cents on the dollar, indicating concerns over the company's long-term financial health. Bank's major shareholder is a state-owned firm based in Shenzhen, and it has been seen as a bellwether for government support of major developers. Beijing is expected to prevent a bank default, with the developer in state-coordinated talks with banks on a debt swap. Asian stocks primed for cautious open, oil surges, markets wrap. Bloomberg. Asian equities saw muted moves on Thursday after a drop in technology stocks led to small declines in U.S. shares. Oil futures rose on an unexpected fall in reserves. The Bank of Japan is considering an end to ETF purchases after inflation in Japan rose toward the BOJ's target. In China, investors were assessing the fallout of the nation's struggling retail developers. Bitcoin extended its rally to above $73,000, and gold also advanced. UN report, many countries are bouncing back from COVID pandemic, but the poorest are not. The Toronto Star. A report from the UN Development Programme has found that while many countries are recovering from the COVID-19 pandemic, the poorest nations are not and conditions are deteriorating. The report warns that this is a strong warning signal that countries are drifting apart in terms of development, after 2 decades of progress in reducing inequality. The report also highlights growing economic inequality, with almost 40% of global trade concentrated in 3 or fewer countries and the combined value of Amazon, Apple, and Microsoft exceeding the GDP of over 90% of UN member nations. JP Morgan's faith in Hong Kong's financial reputation unshaken 100 years on. South China Morning Post. JP Morgan plans to continue investing in Hong Kong, believing that the city will recover and live up to its potential as the financial center of the world's second-largest economy. The bank's president, Daniel Pinto, stated that the firm would continue to grow its business in the city and hire more staff for its asset management operations in China. Pinto also emphasized the importance of China as the second-largest economy in the world and stated that JP Morgan and other international companies would play a vital role in the development of China's financial systems. HKMA steals March with its new wholesale central bank digital currency. SCMP opinion. The Hong Kong Monetary Authority, HKMA, has unveiled WCBDC, a wholesale central bank digital currency, CBDC, pilot. The platform aims to reduce transaction costs and service fees, as well as speed up trade settlement. It will use blockchain technology to create a unified ledger for instant payment, clearance, and settlement. The WCBDC is not to be confused with CBDCs being rolled out in mainland China, India, South Korea, and other Asian countries, as it is primarily for wholesale use. Participants in the pilot include HKMA, HSBC, Hang Seng Bank, Standard Chartered, Bank of China, Hong Kong, Hashkey Group, Microsoft, and Ant Group's Digital Technologies. The apps and usages will be shielded from the rest of the financial system for security purposes and should be user-friendly for clients. It's too late to China-proof the lithium supply chain. Bloomberg. Leaders from developed countries are seeking ways to diversify their lithium supplies to avoid relying on China. However, this effort is coming too late, as the global lithium industry is now deeply intertwined with Chinese capital. The majority control of Albemarle Corp's Greenbushes mine, the world's largest lithium deposit, has been held by China's Tianqi Lithium for over a decade. China is also the largest customer of Albemarle and many other lithium producers worldwide. Rich democracies will have to accept China as a partner, rather than a rival, if they want to secure lithium for their clean energy industries. Beach Monument marks most significant but misunderstood event in Robe's gold rush history. ABC. A Chinese-inspired monument in the South Australian town of Robe is a nod to the significant event of Chinese migrants arriving during the Victorian gold rush in the 1850s. Despite the myth that Robe was a small town at the time, historian Michael Williams explains that it was actually a booming town due to the wool industry. He is working on the first comprehensive academic study of the Robe Walk, which saw thousands of Chinese migrants walk 400 kilometers to the Victorian goldfields. The event is being reinterpreted to focus on the experiences of those who made the journey. Hello, viewers. I'm Dr. Six, your resident observer from the 6 Degrees world. Today, we have a mix of news from Hong Kong and Asia. Let's dive in and see what's been happening. First up, AIA Group, Asia's largest insurer, reported a 15% increase in net profit last year, thanks to strong policy sales to mainland Chinese visitors in Hong Kong. Those visitors spent a whopping $7.6 billion on insurance policies, accounting for over 30% of all sales. It seems like mainland China's love for Hong Kong extends beyond shopping and dim sum. Moving on, Hong Kong stocks took a slight hit as investors turned cautious ahead of earnings announcements by several companies in the Hang Seng Index. However, the benchmark index remains close to a 3-month high, thanks to Premier Li's comments on China's push for technological innovation driving economic recovery. It looks like investors are keeping a close eye on those earnings reports. Meanwhile, Asian markets remain strong, despite the expectation of a possible policy shift from Japan's central bank. The dollar also took a hit as traders focused on the prospect of lower interest rates in the US. It seems like the markets are in for some interesting twists and turns. In the automotive world, Nissan and Honda are reportedly in talks to form a partnership for the development of electric vehicles. This move comes as Japanese automakers have fallen behind their Chinese competitors in the EV market. It's a classic case of if you can't beat them, join them. Let's hope this partnership sparks some electrifying innovation. On the business front, a number of companies in Hong Kong are choosing to delist from the stock market and go private due to cheap valuations. Buyers have cited undervalued shares as a reason for these deals, as they feel their valuations are being dragged down by the weak broader market. It looks like some companies are taking matters into their own hands to boost their value. In other news, Hong Kong is considering revising its plans to keep trading open during severe weather conditions. Closing the markets during the highest levels of typhoon alerts is being discussed to help smaller firms that struggle to continue operations during such weather. While it may be a setback for Hong Kong's goal of keeping markets open, it could provide much-needed support for smaller businesses. Shifting gears to healthcare, Hong Kong's healthcare system is being encouraged to focus on enhancing the efficiency of existing services and plans, rather than relying on extensive measures due to the government's budget deficit. Strategic purchasing and a focus on prevention and early intervention are being highlighted as ways to ensure the sustainability of healthcare services. It's all about working smarter, not harder. On the sports front, cyclist Li Ziwing is hoping to qualify for the Paris Olympics. She's aiming for top 10 finishes at the UCI Track Nations Cup in Hong Kong. Let's cheer her on as she pedals her way to the Olympics. Now, let's dip into the finance world. Chinese property developer China Vanke is battling to avoid its first-ever default, with concerns over its long-term financial health. However, Beijing is expected to step in and prevent a default, with talks underway on a debt swap. It looks like China Vanke might just dodge a financial bullet. Lastly, a UN report has found that while many countries are recovering from the COVID-19 pandemic, the poorest nations are not and conditions are deteriorating. This is a strong warning signal that countries are drifting apart in terms of development. It's a reminder that we need to find ways to bridge this gap and ensure a more equitable recovery. And that's a wrap on today's news. It's been an eventful day in Hong Kong and Asia. From booming insurance sales to potential EV partnerships, there's never a dull moment. As always, I'm Dr. Six, your trusty observer from the 6 Degrees world. Now, let's hear from you, our fantastic viewers. What are your thoughts on today's news? Let the discussion begin. Thank you for tuning in. The content above showcases the latest briefing reports and analytical synopses, thoughtfully curated by the 6Do team. These insights stem from a wide array of reputable media outlets, think tanks, government sources, and specialized experts worldwide. We encourage you to explore these sources for a comprehensive perspective. Keep in mind that while the content may not always align with the official standpoint of 6Do Brief, it's not meant to be taken as absolute directives for decision-making. Comprising seasoned media professionals, learned scholars, and accomplished scientists, the 6Do team embodies a trailblazing, fully independent media entity. To customize 6Do Brief to meet your professional needs, you have the option to subscribe to a diverse array of briefings on our website, 6dobrief.com. Regardless of your location, you can conveniently receive 6Do Brief via email.